And when it comes to the president's recent Twitter war, Phil Matier and I asked former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown if Mr. Trump has gone too far this time.
Harry Truman said the buck stops here. Donald Trump says the tweet starts here. How effective is this? Self-destruction, or is this working?
Oh, no. This guy is on a roll, Phil. He started this nonsense of tweeting, as you'll recall, during his primary success against 16 rivals on the Republican side of the aisle. And he did so dramatically. And he is not going to quit. This guy is a reality TV host. That's what he is, that's what he does, and that's how he's treating the White House.
But what's so disappointing is if you think about, like if a toddler kicks you in the shins, you don't punch it in the face. You don't, you know what I mean? Like, you understand that there's a difference between who they are and what they are and what you are and who you are. And the fact that he's sort of, by going this tete-a-tete, by saying, oh, well, they're mean to me, so I'm going to be mean to them, he's bringing himself down to the level of cable news host, and I think that's what is bothering people.
Keep in mind.
And why they say he's diminishing the office.
But let me interrupt you for a second. He has never considered himself any differently than he has demonstrated by virtue of these tweets.
In other words, he doesn't think of himself as the president?
Have you ever heard him compare himself to Lincoln or to John F. Kennedy?
Yes,
or
Jackson.
to Ronald Reagan?
He tells everybody he's like, all the historians say that he's like Andrew Jackson. So yeah, I think you're right. But that's what's upsetting to people, is that it means that he doesn't see himself as higher than or held to a different standard than a regular cable news host. I think that they were hoping that he would.
And that's what the people love about him. Those 38 or 40% or whatever he has looks forward to him running through Scarborough's hair and screaming as he does it. And believe me, it's very entertaining.
And on the subject of tweets, yesterday, former Attorney General Eric Holder sent out a strange and ominous tweet at 3:17 a.m. It says, to the career men and women at DOJ/FBI, your actions and integrity will be unfairly questioned. Be prepared, be strong, duty, honor, country. So far, Holder has not clarified what he meant by that message. This week, President Trump held a pricey event to raise money for his second run at the White House. Mr. Trump held his first re-election fundraiser at the Trump International Hotel in Washington on Wednesday as protesters stood outside and attendees paid at least $35,000 per plate. The event raised about $10 million. It also raised eyebrows from Richard Painter, who was George W. Bush's ethics attorney.
The president is starting so early in the process, so early in his term, raising money for his campaign rather than focusing on the job of being president. And then furthermore, he's taking a cut himself because he owns the hotel where the fundraiser is.
And Wednesday's fundraiser comes less than 6 months after the president was sworn in. That's about 2.5 years before Presidents Obama and George W. Bush held their first re-election events. And Phil Matier and I asked former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown whether this is just the president's idea of fun.
$35,000 per plate. Sold out, more than 300 people can show up, and it's for the campaign of 2020. His seeking re-election.
Have you ever seen anything this before?
No, not this early in the game. It's unbelievable. I guess he intends to use the first money to pay the previous debt.
Well, he's had a number of fundraisers as well. I mean, he has definitely been the president who has gotten the earliest jump on re-election. Although, I'll tell you, it looks like this is where he's having fun. You get a room full of people who have paid to see you, paid to hang out with you. They're going to be nice to you. They're going to say wonderful things to you. And I think he enjoys sort of being in that atmosphere.
And you keep the press out. Don't forget that.
No, but I was wondering about that because we deal with politicians all the time, and they never stop fundraising. And sometimes you wonder if that is their social life.
Well, in part it is, Phil, frankly, because it's the one place where, as you say, everything is okay. Everything is not publishable. Everything can be said almost as if you're at a fraternal smoke.
This can't be helpful, right? He's facing a number of lawsuits related to personally benefiting from these kinds of events. Now, this event in particular is going to be held at a Trump, location.
But keep in mind, there's one thing good about really early fundraising. You get the money before you cast the vote. So you can't be accused of casting the vote because you got the money.
So there you go. We're doing the quo before the quid, according to Mayor Brown.
You know, some people may have an issue with this, right? They may think that there's something wrong with it, but there's nothing illegal about fundraising this early in the presidency, right?
That's true. That's true. There's nothing that prohibits him from fundraising. Like I said, there may be some issues with doing it at the Trump International Hotel that I'm sure they will add to the numerous lawsuits that are already out there. But having a fundraiser in and of itself is not the problem. You know, interestingly, if you go back to like our founding fathers, George Washington, back in those days, it was considered, you know, impolitic to campaign for yourself. So they actually never campaigned for themselves. They relied on their friends to go out and speak for them. It was considered degrading to even campaign for your own presidential run.
And certainly recent presidents haven't at least campaigned this early on.
Right, exactly. I mean, this is years before they normally do that.